The knife glinted in the dim light as Yara held it to her father's throat, or rather, to the photo of him taped to her punching bag. She'd been practicing this moment since she was 12, the age when Marcus Jackson sent her away to live with Grandma Rose so he could move his mistress Vanessa and their daughter Nicole into her mother's house. The house where her mother and baby brother had burned alive 6 months earlier. Accident, the police had called it. Yara called it murder. She threw the knife. It hit Marcus's photo directly between the eyes. Brave listener, before we walk deeper into this tale of destiny, honor the kingdom of Queen's folklore, subscribe, like, leave your royal mark, and share this story with fellow travelers. Now, let the journey continue. Baby girl, you're gonna give yourself an ulcer with all that rage. Grandma Rose shuffled into the small urban apartment they shared, her healing herbs clutched in weathered hands. At 78, she moved slower than she used to, and the heart condition made her breathless. But she was alive thanks to Yara's skills. I'm fine, Grandma. Yara's fingers flew across 3 laptops simultaneously. One running code to hack into her father's company servers. One designing a couture gown for a client. One analyzing Grandma Rose's latest heart monitor data. Your readings are better. The herbal combination I adjusted is working. You're 19 and acting 40. Grandma Rose sat heavily in her rocking chair, the same chair where she counseled half the neighborhood with her healing wisdom. People came from 3 states to see the renowned healer Grandma Rose. When do you rest? When they're all in prison? Yara's voice was flat, cold. 7 years of gathering evidence. 7 years of watching her father spend her mother's money on that woman and her daughter. The company, Jackson Innovations, had been her mother Lorraine's vision, her patents, her brilliance. Marcus had just been the face. Now he used it to fund his new family while Yara survived on scholarships and her own hustles. But she was patient. She was learning. Grandma Rose taught her about herbs and healing, about reading people, about strategy. The streets taught her about survival. Her own genius taught her about power. Soon, she'd have enough evidence to destroy them all. Her phone buzzed. Marcus's name flashed on the screen the first time he'd called in 2 years. Your grandmother mentioned her heart condition. Marcus's smooth voice oozed false concern. I think it's time you came home. We're family, after all. Yara's hand tightened on the phone. What do you really want? Nicole has received a marriage proposal from Damon Ashford. You know the name, I'm sure. Everyone knew Damon Ashford. 38. Ruthless billionaire. The man who destroyed 3 Fortune 500 companies before breakfast. Also the man rumored to be gay, or impotent, or simply too cold to function depending on who you asked. Congratulations to Nicole. She's refused. Says she could never marry someone like that. A calculated pause. His mother is dying, and he's desperate to fulfill her last wish. The Ashford alliance could benefit our family tremendously. I thought perhaps you might be interested in the opportunity. Translation: You're expendable. She's precious. Yara glanced at Grandma Rose, who was watching her with knowing eyes. The old woman shook her head slightly. Don't do it, baby. But Yara saw the opportunity gleaming like a blade. Access to Ashford resources. Access to power. Access to everything she needed to bring Marcus down. I'll do it, Yara said. On one condition, I want 15% of Mom's company. That's excessive. 15%. Or I tell Ashford exactly what kind of family he's marrying into. I have evidence, Marcus. Lots of it. Silence. Then, 10%. 15. Non-negotiable. A longer pause. Fine. Come home tomorrow. Yara hung up and met her grandmother's worried gaze. Child, this is dangerous. I know, Grandma. Yara knelt beside the rocking chair, took those weathered hands. But I need this. I need the power to make them pay. Grandma Rose cupped Yara's face. Just don't lose yourself in the revenge. Your mama wouldn't want that. I won't, I promise. But they both knew it was a lie. The house looked exactly as Yara remembered, except Vanessa had erased every trace of Lorraine Jackson. White walls replaced warm burgundies. Gold fixtures replaced her mother's elegant bronze. Even the photos were gone. Yara. Marcus embraced her like they were on camera. You look well. She looked exhausted, but she didn't correct him. Nicole descended the stairs in designer everything, her pretty face arranged in false sympathy. Oh, Yara. I'm so sorry you have to marry that creature. If there was any other way, but there isn't. Yara's voice was nonchalant, almost sweet. She'd perfected this tone, the one that made people underestimate her. When do I meet him? Tonight, Vanessa said, wearing Lorraine's diamond earrings. He's very particular about punctuality. Damon Ashford arrived at exactly 7 p.m. and looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Tall, broad-shouldered, with silver threading through dark hair and eyes like a winter storm. Cold, dangerous, beautiful. He barely glanced at Yara. Mr. Jackson. His handshake with Marcus was brief. Let's make this quick. My mother doesn't have much time. Of course, Marcus gestured to Yara. This is my daughter. Fine. Damon's gaze swept over Yara with the warmth of a tax audit. The wedding is in 4 weeks. My lawyers will send the prenup. You'll move into my penthouse after the ceremony. We'll maintain appropriate public appearances. He checked his phone. Questions? Yara lifted her chin. You don't want to know anything about me? No. His voice could freeze fire. This is a transaction, Miss Okonkwo. I need a wife to give my dying mother peace. You need financial security. I'll provide generously. You'll provide the appearance of marital bliss. That's the arrangement. And privately? Privately, we don't have to interact at all. He turned to Marcus. The contracts will arrive tomorrow. He left without another word. Nicole's laughter rang through the house. Oh my God, Yara. He looked at you like you were nothing. This is perfect. Yara smiled sweetly, cold rage burning in her chest. Good. Let him underestimate her. Let them all underestimate her. She'd use every single one of them. The wedding was efficient, sterile, and perfect. Elizabeth Ashford attended in a wheelchair, her joy the only warm thing in the room. Thank you, dear, she whispered to Yara, clutching her hand. You've made my son so happy. Yara glanced at Damon, who stood across the room looking like he was attending a board meeting, and managed a smile. I'm glad, Mrs. Ashford. The penthouse was massive, cold, designed for isolation. Damon showed her to a suite on the opposite end. Credit cards are on the dresser. Buy whatever you need. I'm rarely home. He turned to leave. Damon. He paused but didn't turn. I know you don't want me here, but I'll play my part. You don't have to be cruel about it. I'm not being cruel, Miss Jackson. I'm being clear. He finally turned, his expression carved from ice. My mother is dying. That's the only thing that matters. Everything else, including you, is just noise. The door closed behind him. Yara stood in her golden cage and felt nothing. She'd seen worse, been through worse. This was just another obstacle. She opened her laptop and got to work. The first 6 weeks were warfare. Damon left before dawn, returned after midnight. They existed in parallel dimensions. The only time she saw him was at Elizabeth's bedside on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where he transformed tender with his mother, invisible to Yara. But Yara used the isolation. His security system became her backdoor to everything. His money funded her investigation into Marcus. His lawyer's files taught her their strategies. She visited Elizabeth regularly because the woman was genuinely kind, and Yara had been raised right by Grandma Rose, even if the world had tried to beat it out of her. He wasn't always this frozen, Elizabeth confided one afternoon. Her breathing labored. A woman named Jasmine broke him badly, took his money and his trust. She squeezed Yara's hand weakly. Be patient, dear. There's warmth under all that ice. Yara doubted it. But she smiled and nodded, because Elizabeth was dying, and kindness cost nothing. Then came the night that changed everything. 3 months into the marriage, Yara found Damon at 3 a.m. in the kitchen, staring at nothing. She'd come down after working on her latest hack and almost left when she saw him. But something stopped her. Maybe the way his hands shook, maybe the devastation in his eyes. Damon? He looked up, and his face was raw. The hospital called. She's dying. Tonight? Maybe tomorrow. His voice cracked. I'm losing her. Yara didn't think. She crossed the kitchen and pulled him into her arms. He went rigid, then collapsed into her embrace and shattered. This cold, ruthless man wept like a child, and Yara held him together while he fell apart. She didn't speak, just held him. Made him tea when the crying stopped. Sat with him until dawn. Thank you, he said finally, his voice wrecked. You're grieving, Yara said simply. I understand loss. He really looked at her for the first time. I've been a complete bastard to you. Yes, she agreed calmly. You have. A ghost of a smile. No sugarcoating. I respect that. He studied her face like he was seeing her for the first time. Why did you really agree to this marriage? Because I need your resources to destroy my father. Because I've been planning revenge since I was 12. Because I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. I needed security, she said instead. You needed a wife. It made sense. Practical. Like you said. Something shifted in his expression. Tell me about yourself. The real story. So she did. About Grandma Rose and her healing practice. About the scholarships and the hustling. About the fashion designs and the coding. She didn't tell him about the murder or the evidence or the revenge that burned in her chest like acid. Not yet. When she finished, his expression had transformed from cold to something warmer. You're remarkable, he said quietly. And I've been completely blind. Elizabeth passed 2 weeks later, peacefully, with both of them holding her hands. Damon broke, and Yara held him through it. After the funeral, everything changed. He started coming home earlier, asked about her day, actually looked at her fashion designs with genuine interest and intelligent questions. These are incredible, he said one evening, studying her portfolio. You're selling yourself short doing commissions. You should have your own line. That takes capital. I have capital. He looked up, something intense in his eyes. Let me invest in you, Yara. Not as an obligation, as a genuine investment. Why? Because you're brilliant. Because I've been an ass. Because he set down the portfolio. Because I'm falling for you. And I want to make up for how I've treated you. Yara's carefully constructed walls trembled. This wasn't the plan. She wasn't supposed to feel this warmth in her chest, this dangerous hope. I need to tell you something, she said. Tell me. She told him everything. The fire, the suspicions, 7 years of evidence. Her mother's company that Marcus had stolen. The revenge she'd been planning. When she finished, Damon was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. Richardson, I need a full forensic audit on Marcus Jackson. Everything. I want to know every dollar, every transaction, every secret. He hung up and looked at Yara. We're going to destroy him. Together. Why would you help me? Because you're my wife. Because they hurt you. Because... He cupped her face gently. Because I love you, Yara, and I protect what's mine. She kissed him, and for the first time since she was 12, she didn't feel alone. Damon Ashford didn't just help with revenge, he became obsessed with giving Yara everything she'd been denied. He launched her fashion line with a runway show that made headlines. He held her when nightmares came. He brought her stars in the form of a rooftop observatory he built just for her. You were strong for so long, he told her one night, holding her close. Let me be strong for you now. And slowly, carefully, Yara let her guard down. Let herself be loved. Let herself remember how to be the girl she'd been before the fire stole everything. The revenge came together perfectly. Damon's investigators found everything. The payoffs, the insurance fraud, the evidence of arson. When Yara walked into Marcus's office 6 months later with Damon at her side, she had everything she needed. You killed my mother and brother, Yara said, her voice steady as she played him the evidence. You stole her company. You threw me away like trash. Marcus's face went white. Yara, please. The police are outside. So are the federal prosecutors. Vanessa's already in custody. She leaned forward. And Mom's company? It's mine now. All of it. You can't. I already have. She stood. I was 12 when you destroyed my life. I'm 20 now. And I'm taking everything you ever loved. Marcus and Vanessa went to prison for murder and fraud. Nicole disappeared from public life. Jackson Innovations was restructured under Yara's leadership and renamed Lorraine Innovations in her mother's honor. And Damon? He became the devoted husband everyone whispered about, the ruthless billionaire who'd give his wife the moon if she asked for it. He called her from business trips just to hear her voice. He learned to cook her favorite foods. He sat through fashion shows and coding marathons and never complained. You gave me my life back, Yara told him one night, curled in his arms. You gave me mine, he replied, kissing her hair. You taught me how to feel again. How to love. At 21, Yara Ashford stood at the helm of her mother's company, her fashion line on international runways, her grandmother still calling weekly with healing wisdom and pride in her voice. She'd been robbed of her childhood at 12, forced to be strong when she should have been safe. But Damon had given her the space to heal, to be vulnerable, to remember what it felt like to be protected instead of always protecting. Justice had been served, love had been found, and Yara, who'd started with nothing but rage and determination, had everything that mattered. She'd won. And so, dear traveler, this chapter of destiny comes to an end. But remember, the kingdom of Queen's folklore lives on through you. If this story touched your spirit, honor the royal court by subscribing, liking, sharing with your tribe. Your engagement keeps the crown shining. Return tomorrow, another tale awaits under the kingdom's watchful eye.